What's up YouTube? Valentin the Mad here, and today I want to talk to you about a topic I had in my mind for a while. Boss fights in gaming. Now I'll say straight away, I'm not a fan of those and never have been. When I was thinking why, I came to this realization. The concept of how boss fights generally work hasn't changed much since bloody Space Invaders. Now some of you are thinking, what the hell am I talking about? But let me elaborate. Your average boss fight in gaming works like this. You have a character bigger than your generic enemy. They have special attacks that deal a lot of damage, and most importantly, they can take a lot of hits until they die. Now, I don't mind the first 2 points, it's one thing about the third point that I personally dislike. And that is seeing little to no response to all of the damage you are dealing on that boss character. Shooting a large bullet sponge until their very long HP bar will drain is not something I have ever found to be entertaining. It's even worse in story-driven games, where at the end of the fight, the boss gets a wounded model for you to finish in a cutscene. Often, with an attack you already performed 50 times on him, that now suddenly works. Are those boss fights challenging? Absolutely. Fun? Not for me. So obviously, there are exceptions, and some games have more creative approaches on killing the main villain. But the vast majority of games I know go for the bullet sponge thing, and maybe add a few complications. Well, I want to share my idea on how to make a fight with a bullet sponge type of boss to be much more satisfying and fun. I'll take Tank from Left 4 Dead series for my example. Basically, he is this huge zombified bodybuilder, and apparently, the infection is great for the gains, because you can't achieve that mass even with the most wicked illegal stuff out there. So imagine the following scenario. As you are shooting Tank, you see wounds on impact location, and every 10th shot or so at a specific area will remove some of the muscle. And by saying remove, I'm talking about a huge bloody wound that splatters blood on other parts of the body too. There would be 6 to 8 areas mapped on the torso, and the same amount on the back, and something like 2 or 3 of those layers for each area. Once you remove the layers of muscle, you get to the ribcage. 10 shots will crack it, another 10 shots will break it, a shot to the heart, and he goes down. Also, as you are wounding the character, his behavior changes, first to something more aggressive, but as you keep damaging him, he becomes weaker and a bit easier to hit. There can be other ways of killing him too. So if you manage to destroy his head, which should not be something easy to hit, he could keep blindly attacking you for 30 to 40 more seconds before dropping, as he is spraying blood everywhere. If you manage to dismember one or more of his limbs, he could switch to a crippled behavior mode and maybe start slowly bleeding out. If you destroy organs other than the heart, he could get even more crippled and easier to kill. This suggestion doesn't have to only work for a huge muscular creature. The same concept can work on a mechanical character or a heavily armored character, and there is plenty of room for creativity with such an approach. This idea comes from the most basic concept that drives my gore reviews, which is seeing response for each shot and attack that you have. And what you would end up with in this case is a huge bloodied and disfigured body that looks nothing like the boss when you first encountered him. And the most important thing about it is the feeling that you caused it all and you saw it all happen dynamically. It's not a pre-made damaged character model that will be the same every time the boss loses X amount of health. I believe that something like this can really turn boss fights into an epic experience, rather than kind of cool at best. Now the first argument that comes to mind is, but this is insanely hard to do. Maybe, but actually, everything is. Those awesome graphics we are used to seeing aren't exactly easy to deliver. The glorious destruction some games have is not simple to make at all. Just balancing a game can take months. So I don't think that my suggestion is an impossible request. Seeing response for each attack is not something that should only work on your generic enemies. Just because boss fights work the way they are, doesn't mean it should be this way, and doesn't mean that it can't be changed. I haven't heard much discussion about it either, and really, if no one is asking for improvements, boss characters will keep being the non-responsive bullet sponges they are. If this video will ignite discussion, we might just see change. Do you agree? Disagree? Let me know how you feel in the comment section. If you feel that this is important, share the video somewhere and start discussion. If you enjoyed watching the video, click the subscribe button. I got more of those on the way. Until next time.